Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another deck profile. In this week's video, I recommend to you guys to try out SSB Vegeta Bardock's crew as a top rogue aggro pick that I really like. This is more of a return to somewhat more true aggro and less of like this mid-rangey, decent late game U7 and GT that we've been seeing in red. Don't get me wrong, those decks are super strong. Obviously, they're the best red decks in the format, but if you want to play a more true aggro red deck, I think this is a pretty good pick for you guys. So we'll go over the list in today's video. If you guys are new here, make sure to subscribe, hit that bell so you never miss a video. And if you guys want to help support the channel, there are many ways down in the description to do so, as always. But today, guys, if you want to buy any cards for this deck or any trading cards for that matter, feel free to use my link in the description to TCG Player. It really does help me out a lot. Anyways, let's dive right into things, going right into the deck list. So we have the leader starting off very simple on the Unawakened side. On this card attacks, draw 1, and it gets plus 5k for the turn. Awaken relates 4 or less, or you have a Unison with specified cost of 2 in play. Untap 2, take life down to 5. Then we're not playing any Kava Unisons, so the rest of that effect doesn't really matter. The backside is super juiced up. When this card attacks, draw 1, then choose one of your red Unison cards at a specified cost of 2 and no keyword skills, and it gains a double strike for the turn. Auto, once per turn, Spirit Boost 1. You must remove a marker from a Unison to activate this skill. When your opponent attacks your red Unison card at a specified cost of 2, negate the attack, then choose one of your Unison cards and gets plus 6,000 power for the turn. So basically, if your opponent wants to focus your Unison by removing one marker, you make it 21k for the turn, which is going to make it even harder for your opponent to actually kill the Unison. So it's a very good effect on the Unison defensively, and offensively it's great for pressure because you're going to make your Unison a double striker every single turn. So getting into the main board, we're playing a clean 50 cards. We have 4 copies of Mass Saiyan Avenger from Another Dimension. So most decks that were playing Piccolo Jr. Unison are just using this guy as a, slightly worse replacement, but in this deck, you can see all of his effects synergize very, very well with Sands. Dumping Sands into the drop area can be very advantageous for this deck, and the -2 can actually help you pop off in the end game. So this Unison is a really good one for this deck, and losing Piccolo Jr., while Piccolo Jr. is probably still the better Unison overall, this deck feels that effect the least because of how good this Unison is for a red sand based deck. But of course, they're the one copy of Piccolo Jr. because we want to awaken on turn 2 with a Unison in play. So, playing Piccolo Jr. as the 5th Unison makes perfect sense. Whichever one you see, you're going to be pretty happy about either of them. Then we have the 4 copies of Yamcha, free counterplay, and it's a 15k attacker. So Yamcha's actually been noticeably better in more recent sets. If you guys are more new to the game, more new to how these counterplays work, Yamcha's a weird one because he has to minus 15k 2 battle cards basically as soon as he's activated in the counterplay, which can be awkward if you're trying to hit hard casted battle cards or battle cards that are being played in counter window 1, because Yamcha can't actually hit the cards being played because when he's used for counterplay, those cards are not technically in play yet. They're technically being revealed when you would counterplay with Yamcha. Where Yamcha shines, though, is in counter window 2, but when a card's played by a skill and after it's successfully played. If that sounds like a whole bunch of mumbo jumbo to you guys, you need a better explanation of counter windows. We can go over that in another video or down in the comment section. But basically, if you know how counter windows work, that's how Yamcha works, and he's most effective in counter window 2. Then we have the 4 copies of Raditz Saiyan Youth, best super combo you can play in a deck like this. And then we have the main engine of the deck. So first we'll start with Bardock, Pride of a Low-Class Warrior. 1-drop auto, add 1 card from life to hand. When this card attacks, gains 11,000 power for the battle, so it's an aggressive 1-drop. Auto, if your other card's a red sand card, you have 2 or more energy, so it's a turn 2 play. When this card deals damage by attacking, switch this card to active mode. Look at up to 7 cards at the top of your deck. Play up to 1 Bardock crew among them with an energy cost of 1, then shuffle your deck. The card you played with a skill, and this card can't attack for the turn. Okay, so turn 2, you want to play a Unison, awaken, get both your energy back. Now you'll be at 5 life. Attack with this card, go down to 4, goes to 15k, and depending on the matchup, you want to make sure this damage goes through. So if your opponent's at like 8 life, odds are they're not going to combo out of a 15k, but if your opponent's playing a deck that also awakens quickly, maybe they have access to their super combos pretty fast, you want to maybe dump one of your own super combos into this, make it go to 25k, because it's pretty important to get him to restand for the ability to play SS Bardock Super Saiyan Enlightenment. This is a unique barrier with some of the best artwork in the game. 5-drop 20k, EX Evolve for 1 red over a Bardock. So on your entire turn 2, you can play Unison, you can play Pride of a Low-Class Warrior, and you can evolve into Super Saiyan Enlightenment. Auto, when this card's played, look at the top 7 cards of your deck, place it to 1 Bardock crew among them in your drop area, then shuffle your deck. Auto, when this card attacks, play up to 1 Bardock's crew with energy cost of 1 from your drop, then choose 2 of your red sand cards other than this card, and they get plus 5,000 power for the turn. So you can see that second auto requires him to attack, so that's why it's important that you make the Pride of a Low-Class Warrior damage go through so this guy restands. That's basically the best way you're going to build your board on turn 2. Then we have Chantac Bardock. This card is a bit pricier, so if you want to keep this deck more budget friendly, you don't have to play 4 copies. You technically don't have to play it at all, but it is one of the best cards to play in this deck. So Permanent Bond 3, this is going to be shared amongst most of these Bardock crew cards. He gains critical and 10 and 11,000 power, so most of these guys are going to go up to 15k, and some of them gain various effects like double strike. Other ones just gain the power. Auto, when this card attacks, choose one of your opponent's battle cards. It gets minus 4,000 for each red sand and or Bardock's crew in your battle area. So when you flood a board, you can kill things that are as big as 20k, which is pretty cool, and the critical is really good for the early game damage as well. A lot of the times this will be the first battle card you revive off of your Sand Enlightenment. So basically between Sand Enlightenment, reviving a Bardock's crew, and whatever Bardock's crew you played on turn 1, which could be Borgos or Fascia, that's your bond 3 right there, which is super good. Anyways, moving on to Borgos, he has the bond ability to increase his power, and he draws 1, so a great turn 1 play. And then Fascia is the same thing, bond 3 gains the power. She's a great turn 1 play because she searches for your Bardock's crews and your unisons. So this card alone, plus the 5 unisons, makes the deck's turn to awaken very, very consistent. So you do want to start your turn 1s with either Borgos and Fascia, and then turn 2, play unison, awaken, play Bardock, Pride of a Low-Class Warrior, then evolve into Sand Enlightenment. That is your perfect ideal turn 2 play. I'm also including 2 copies of Chantac Shugesh. He is a unique battle card. He has the ability to boost his power, but he also gains double strike. So sort of similar to Chantac Bardock, where Bardock gains crit, this guy gains double strike. I included him as a 2-of because he can help with some game-ending pressure. And we're going to roll through the rest of this profile, guys. But real quick, if you guys have been with me for this long in the video, I know you guys are the true fans, and I really do appreciate you guys. If you guys really want to help me out, reach my dreams, I am publishing my own comic book right now. You guys can go check out the link to Indiegogo down in the description, read the synopsis, meet the characters of New Mafia Genesis. I would really appreciate if you check that out. Maybe just share it with your comic book loving friends. I really would appreciate it. Anyways, back into the profile. 4 copies of Testing the Op. This is the best negate in the main board in my opinion, because we are playing a leader that goes to 5 life on Awaken. So theoretically, if you had to, you could use a Testing the Op at every single attack from like 5 down to 1, right? So I think with leaders that can get down to 5, I think the blocker negates are probably just 4-ofs because of how synergistic they are and how live they are. But of course, you could sub this in and out for copies of King Vegeta's Imposing or Violent Rays, whichever one you think you need for a certain meta, or maybe your locals has, you know, a lot of the same decks that those are good against. You can definitely play those. The 1 Champa in this type of deck, it's great because you can either kill your opponent with it or it's charge fodder. I think 2 Broly Crown is very, very good in a deck like this in the main board, because after that crazy turn 2 that we talked about, your turn 3 is pretty open to a lot of things. So Broly Crown into your opponent's 2 open energy on 3 can really help you set up a kill turn on 3. Like, this deck can actually kill on 3 given certain scenarios and circumstances, so this will help that out. 3 copies of Resolve Renewed, of course, just like a new staple to red that every single red deck is playing pretty much as a 3-of. You want to be able to answer those Bardock Ripostes. You want to be able to answer those Oceanuses. And this is actually a card that wasn't in red decks back when I did the SSB Bardock's crew profile like 6 months ago. So it's pretty cool now there's a main staple answer. And the other cool thing too is like Sand Enlightenment can boost it by 5k if it's just sitting there on your board doing nothing, so it can actually be a 15k attacker. And if you pull off the -2 of the Avenger from Another Dimension, you can also buff it up by 5k. So this has additional synergy in the deck as an actual attacker if you want to buff it up by either of these 2 card effects. Then we're playing 2 copies of the GT Trio. So realistically, any deck that's playing a Unison with more than 10k power should just play this card, right? Like, it is just an optional boss monster if you need 3 30k attacks to finish the game, or maybe even kill a Unison. Like, it is just really that good. And a card that's going to shine in this deck in the sideboard that I just want to mention right now because I'm thinking about it is Strategies of Universe 7. I talked about that in this week's side decking video. Like, this card plus all the other sands in the deck that don't have barrier, in a crucial turn against like blue or yellow where you have a huge board, giving your entire board barrier is gonna be really tough for your opponent to deal with. So that's just a thought that I had, I wanted to make you guys aware of. King Piccolo, the new ruler, of course we're playing it with a unison based red deck. It's basically our overrealm. I am playing the Vegeta SCR. That was another problem with this deck when I profiled it about 6 months ago. There was no good secret rare to play. I think in that build I might have had Gohanks. I can't 100% remember, but even that one wasn't so great because most of your leader effects require a 2-cost unison play, like the Spirit Boost and the ability to grant it double strike. So Gohanks, not all that great. Vegeta is obviously the best red SCR in the game, so that's like a no-brainer. But I think other SCRs that could work in this, you could obviously play Supreme Kai of Time, you could play Black Pan, you can play Heroine's Lineage if you're on a budget. Like, if you cut Chantac Bardock and you cut this SCR for Heroine's Lineage, and maybe you just add in, like, you know, 2 more copies of Shugesh and then fill in the other 2 cards with something else, this could be a very budget-friendly deck, just so you guys know. But anyways, finishing off the list, we have 1 copy of S3 Goku, Man on a Mission. We're playing an aggro deck. We want that 1 big overrealm to hit for big damage, so you're probably going to want to dump like 2 to 3 super combos on this, but if this connects, that double strike crit is probably going to win you the game. But anyways, that's the updated list. Wanted to share it with you guys since I mentioned it as a rogue contender for this format. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.